Hi, I am Mita Naya and today is Saturday and the date is 16 October and I will tell about some tough subject, some difficult subject. Means which subject was more difficult for me, means which subject I always think more difficult, and how I read this subject and how I could understand this subject, etc. I will tell about these types of things. So I am starting now. I have lots of subjects. When I read it in school, then I had lots of subjects. When I was child, means when I did it in class 4 or class 1 2, then I thought that every subject is difficult, every subject was difficult for me to read. Then I did not want to read. Then I always did lots of mischief, and don't want to read any books. And but I always I means I always don't I always means I did not like to do math always. This subject was so tough according to me, means this subject was more tough for me, means my mother taught me every time. And sometime I don't want to do math. Sometime I did not want to do math, and then my mother did it forcefully. And this math was really very tough subject for me, means this when I read it in class 4, or then when I read it in class 3, then I had no pressure of study, means then I learned how to do multiplication, subtraction, addition, etc. But this common math, means this common math was so tough for me this time, means then and I always get afraid to do math. And but I had to do. But the syllabus was so easy, and anybody can do it very well. But then I was a child, then this common math was so difficult for me to do. And when I and one more subject was also difficult, means was so difficult for me. It was English. When I read it in class 4 or class 2, then I thought that English is really very tough language, means English was so tough language for me, means I did not want to read English, means I really got afraid to see English language, means I told then I could not understand anything in English properly. Then I could read, but sometime I could not understand anything. Sometime I could not pronounce, could not translate anything properly. Then I did not know everything in English properly, so that's why I did not want to read this subject also. And I really feel very bored. When I was child, means then I did not want to read any books, but still Bengali, history, geography, this all subject is it was enough for me, means I could read. But this math and this English, this two subject, I did not like. I could not I did not try like this subject anymore. And my mother and I had a teacher when I read it in class 4 or 3. Then I had a teacher, and she had lots of patience, and she taught me everything with patience, means I did lots of mischief with her, and I disturbed her a lot, but she tolerated me, and she taught me everything with lots of patience. And and I got lots of good teacher in my school, in private tutor, means I got well teachers in my life. So they taught me with lots of patience, but sometime I got really stubborn. I did not want to read. Then I scolded by my mother, scolded by my teachers. Sometimes I got punishment in the school. Means this two subject was really very tough for me. But when I did it in class 4 or 5, then Bengali. I like to read Bengali subject, Bengali stories. From my childhood, I like to read story books, so stories, different stories. So that's why I liked it. Means I liked to read Bengali stories. Then I told that I could not understand anything properly in English. So that's why if anybody translate anything in Bengali, then it's okay. But I could not translate everything properly. So that's why I feel very bored when I read any English stories from my textbook. So then I feel really very bored. So that's why I always prefer to read Bengali stories every time. So that's why I got interest in Bengali subject every time. But and when I read it in class, but and history subject, I liked to read history subject, but it was not so tough subject. But sometime and history is a very long subject. Means everybody had to read it more. Means and it's very tough to get well marks from history subject. Means this subject I liked, but sometime I feel very bored to read this subject. Otherwise this subject was good, easy subject, not so tough for me. Because if I read any about any topic, then I could read the answer of questions by myself. Means if I have any concept about this topic, then so it was not so tough. But when I did it in class 4, when I did it in class 9 or class 8, then it was little tough. Means it was little tough because I had to remember the date, the year of every war, everything. Means this date, this year was so tough to remember. Means everywhere in history subject I had to remember it. I have to memorize every date of every war, or every means every incident of every incident. And one thing was so difficult in history, that was the name of every places, or the name of every person's name and date. These two things was so tough for me. Means I could not remember these two things properly. Sometime I got confused, sometime I did mistakes in name, in date, in year. Sometime for this name, for this year, I did not get proper marks in history. Means it always happened with Means it was so difficult to keep in mind. mm, otherwise history is not so tough subject. Nor it's a little easy subject. And in exam, when I used to give exam, especially during history exam, I really feel very confused. Means for tension, for the nervous, for getting nervous, for getting nervous of exam, I got confused. Means in everything. Means I really got confused. I forgot everything, every name, every year, everything. And I remember one thing. I could not give proper date, or I could not give proper year. Means proper, I could not give it. Means I always tried to avoid it. Means I always tried to avoid to memorize any year, um, any date of any word. But this name can remember. Means you can remember the name, but this years was so tough. So this history subject, when I read it in class 9 or class 10, Indian history, European history, all types of history was little tough for me. And every word, and I also got confused of every word. Means the word was so confusing, means I could not remember the description of every word properly. There had lots of word, minimum in every chapter in history. In every chapter of history subject, I had to read word. Minimum two or three word I had to read in every chapter. So in this word I had to memorize the date of the year. So it was so boring, means it was so tough for me to remember, especially during exam. It was so tough for me. So sometime I could avoid it, sometime I could not avoid it. When I could not avoid it, then I gave wrong date, wrong year, and I did not get proper marks. So this history subject was little tough for me to memorize, etc. And otherwise everything was also easy, I could remember everything properly. These things was a little difficult to remember, and my every friends faced this problem lot. But my some friend did not like to read this history subject, but I liked to read this history subject, means there. I liked to read about every word and the description of every word. I like to know everything. I like to know about European history or Indian history. But still, I liked it. I read it this history subject as a story, like a story. I read it. Otherwise it was so difficult. If I means according to me, this history subject is a subject which everybody should read like a story. Means if I read it like a story, means if I read every topic as a story, then it was so easy to remember. Because we could remember every story properly. So that's why. And history is a kind of story, means every topic is a story according to me. So that's why I read it like a story. Mm, but sometime when any date or when any year come, then I got confused. And otherwise every subject was so easy. When I read it in class 4 5 6, then this math was so tough subject for me. I could not do this math properly. And I did not. I really got afraid to see math. This math subject really was so difficult for me to do. But when I read it in class 8, means from class 8, I got a good teacher. So after class 8, I got interest in this subject. This subject I got interest. From class 8 I liked to do math. Sometime there had some math which was so difficult to do. But and in this math subject it was so difficult to remember every formula. Maths depend on formula, means if I want to do any math, then I have to learn formula, every formula. And I have to memorize every formula every year. Means every math of every chapter dependent on formula. So that's why I had to memorize every formula. And when I did not memorize any formula, then I could not do math properly. Then I faced some problem. Otherwise this math was really easy, and I like to do algebra was so interesting part for me. Means I like to do algebra. Algebra is really very good for me, means I liked it. And when I read it in class 8, then I also got well teacher in school. Otherwise I also got a well teacher in private, means I got a private tutor, private tutor of math. So they did this math very well. And a school teacher, I had a teacher she taught us in school, means she took math classes in school, and she did math very well. She could make understand us everything. And when I faced any problem, then I went to her, and she could make me understand properly. And so I did not face so much problem, and but I could do it properly. And when this physics subject was a tough subject, difficult subject for me. It was not so boring subject, but physical science subject, chemistry was not so boring subject. Sometime I got interest, but formula, means especially math, physics math, I could not do, means it was so tough for me to remember every formula and apply it in math. I could not get solution of any math questions in physics. This physics math was so difficult to me, means it was so terrible, means it was kind of terrible things for me, means I could not do it properly. When I did it in class 10, then then I had chemistry, and I had physics. These two subject was in one book, and um, and I liked to read all formulas. I could memorize all formula properly, but still I some I could remember all formula. So when I did it in class 10, then I gave exam first semester, second semester, and third semester exam. So when I did it in class 10, new 10, when I was new 10, first semester exam, when I gave first summative exam, when I gave, then I gave well exam, very well exam, means every question was common to me, because when I was new 10, when I got new book, then I had lots of interest on book, means then I read everything, means which chapter I had in which syllabus I had in first summative exam. So I did everything properly with lots of interest. I had three chapter in summative exam, first summative exam. So that's why this time I got new book, and I had so I was so excited about this new class, about this new book, means then I read it everything by myself, means this time when I got new book, this time if anybody told me to read all topic again and again, then I will means I was agree, means I will agree with her or him to read, means I was so excited about new book, new chapter, new read, new study. So I gave very well exam in first summative exam. So and I also got well marks in first summative exam. But after that, when I gave second summative exam, though when I could understand about this chapter, about the pressure of study, means about all syllabus, when I gave second summative exam, then I had 4 or 5 chapter in exam. So then this time my excitement broken, means I and there also had a chapter. It was math based chapter, means you will just find there, you will just you will find math in everywhere in this chapter. So this chapter, means I tried to avoid this chapter all time, means this chapter was so tough for me, means I did not want to open this chapter, means when i when I saw this chapter, when I saw any math of this chapter, then I got very confused, means then I got really very nervous. And when I gave first summative exam, then there had no math. I just write. I wrote everything. But when I gave second summative exam, then there had lots of math. Means you can say every question was depend on math. Means it was so second summative exam. When I gave second summative exam of class 10, in class 10, then it was not so good. Means every question was uncommon. Means most of the every question not means most of the question was uncommon. Especially all broad question was uncommon for me. There had four or five broad question, and every question depend on math. Means in every question we will get math. So I told before that I did not attend any math questions in exam, especially during physical science game exam. So if I started to do math, then I will get confused. It's true. Means I could not do physics math properly. If I start to do math, but in middle step I will confused everything. Means I will get nervous. Means every step I applied some formulas. So that's why when I gave second summative exam, then I just attended MCQ and short questions. I just attended short questions. Otherwise I did not attend any broad questions so much. Maybe I attend two or three broad questions from 5 6 broad questions. Means but and every answer was not right. I maybe two or three answer was right, otherwise everything was wrong. Means every answer was wrong. So this subject was more difficult to me. Means I really got afraid in this subject than any other subject. Means this subject was so terrible subject for me. Means I could not get any courage. Means I could not get any courage from this subject. Means in some topic, in some chapter I got interested, but still most of the chapter was so tough for me. Mm, but I had lots of well teachers in physics. When I did it in class 10, then I had two teacher of math and physical science. Two teacher. But still math, I could do math properly. But this physical science subject, it was not possible. It was not possible to do means to read it properly. Means I had two teacher, and I also had well teacher in school, and she taught us very well. Once when I did it in class 10, once and most of the time I got punishment from my teachers in school. And she gave homework every day. She gave homework every day, and every day she most of the time I could not submit homework to her, and this time I got punishment. And once she gave homework to everyone, and she and most of the student in my class, in our class, did not give a homework to did not want to submit homework to her. So once she really got uh, angry, and she told us that, and she gave a homework to us, and she told us that if we don't submit homework to her next day, then she will give punishment to all, tough punishment. And anybody I had two or three students gave homework, submitted homework to her. Otherwise every student did not submit homework to her. So these day it was the record time. in our class, means everybody got punishment. She gave punishment to all minimum. I told that two friends submitted homework to her, otherwise everybody got punishment in this day. This physics class was, I will not tell that this class was so boring, means we did not want to do this class, we did not want to attend this class so much. Sometime when, um, sometime I told that there had some subject, there had some chapter which I like to read. If when she teached us this subject, this topic, then we mm, liked to attend this class. Otherwise we really feel very bored, really feel very disturbed, means irritated to attend this class, means this subject was really very mm, tough subject, difficult subject for me, and for my some friend also. Otherwise every subject was so easy, was not so tough. I could read everything, every subject properly. um, and every subject was so easy. And when I did it in class 11, then I did not have so much tough subject, means I chose my favorite subject when I did it in class 11. But sometime when I got pressure of study, then I felt that every subject was difficult. Every subject is difficult. Sometime I had a political science subject, sometime I feel it that this subject is more tough, more difficult. mm, Especially during exam, means during exam I feel confused, means I feel very confused. I could not remember everything properly, means it's a subject of kind of history, means but this subject is really very interesting subject also. But I have to read it much more, means I have to read it more. And I don't have so much difficult subject more, but this math, physical science, this subject was difficult to me.